Hello, good morning to you all. I'm Myra Ansari here for Wave Now. So, we often get phone calls into our newsroom, people falling victims to scams, and it's devastating when you become taken advantage of because a lot of folks think that. Who would do something like that? Well, there are a lot of people who want to take advantage of you and your money, your information. So, we're teaming up with the BBB today about scams that have been reported to them. So these are real things that are happening to people. Whitney Atkins from the BBB here in Louisville, the Better Business Bureau, is here to talk to us about some scams that are happening. First, Whitney, I want to talk to you about the devastating wildfires that we're seeing in Hawaii. And oftentimes, in moments of tragedy, bad actors come out and they want to take advantage of the sympathy that you have for real victims. Are you seeing reports of people taking advantage of those trying to donate to folks in Hawaii?
Not yet, but unfortunately, with those types of scams, there's often a bit of a delay between when the scam occurs and when the victim of the scam realizes it. Because if you're donating um, to whom you think is a victim of the tragedy, it may take some time for it to come out that your money didn't go to where you were intending it to go. While we haven't seen reports yet, that doesn't mean that it's not happening. That, like you said, there aren't bad actors out there trying to take advantage of this tragedy. So we do have some tips that consumers can bear in mind to protect themselves when donating that also help ensure that their money is going to where it needs to go the most right now. In times like these, we always strongly recommend that you start with well established, accredited charities. These are organizations that have been in operation for years. They know what they're doing. They've got it down to a science. They can get boots on the ground quickly. They can get supplies to those in need quickly. So, your easiest, best, safest way to make a difference right now is to make a financial donation to one of those charities. You can actually visit give.org, give.org. That is BBB's site where we list all of our charities and our reviews of them. So if it's one that maybe you're not familiar with or you just want to check them out first, you can enter their name at that site and get a report on them. It breaks down, how much of the funds they raise go to their cause versus, upkeep of the organization, things like that. And it's got our rating of them there as well.
All right,
Now
that's
we're
some.
going to see a lot of crowdfunding right now, and certainly that is a way to help. We do recommend that if you want to contribute to a crowdsourcing fundraiser, it's really best to go with someone if it's someone you know personally or has ties to your family or your friends, versus someone you don't know. A lot of crowdfunding sites do vet the campaigns that come into them, but not all of them do. So your best bet is to go with someone you know if that's a route you want to go. And again, when it comes to donating money versus items, money is usually your best bet because it can go to organizations that can get the items there quickly versus, you know, while we have the most well-meaning intentions, if we're hosting drives here for a location that's far away, it can take a lot of time for those items to get to where they need to go. They can run into issues along the way. So really, the biggest impact you can make is making a donation, however much you're comfortable with making a monetary donation to an established charity.
Okay. So, Whitney, you all had a long list of other scams reported, and I want to quickly touch on some of them so everybody's aware of what's kind of happening right now. You all had a consumer report an adoption scam to you all. Tell me about that.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. A consumer who was going through the adoption process unfortunately ran into a scammer who was posing as an agent for an actual established adoption agency, but unfortunately it was a scammer, and they took this victim's money and obviously never fulfilled the services that they were supposed to provide. And it wasn't until the victim kind of realized that this was happening and contacted the agency directly that they realized this person never worked for them. And it's a heartbreaking scenario because obviously with adoption, there's a lot of paperwork to go through. It can be very expensive. And so when you factor in scammers, it just makes that process much more difficult and heartrending. So we strongly recommend, again, make sure that you can verify that whomever you're working with is working for an established agency that you can trust before any money changes hands. Double check their references, call the agency directly to verify that they are an actual representative of them, because again, you've got scammers who are going to want to play on emotions, and the adoption process can be a very emotional one. So it can be a time where you're not thinking clearly. You just want to get through it. You want the adoption to be successful, and scammers are going to try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and this consumer lost about $1,000, so a big
Mhm.
chunk of change for them as well. All right, you had another one that claimed to represent the consumer's health insurance company. So this person may be posing as, say, if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield or what Anthem or Cigna or whatever it is, saying, "Hey, I'm calling from your insurance company," which can sound convincing.
Yes. Yes. In this case, the scammer was posing, like you said, as an agent of the consumer's insurance company, and they were trying to get personal information from the consumer. And initially they did sound convincing, but the consumer, fortunately, was cautious and was wary and was questioning, why do you need this information from me right now? And eventually realized that the person on the other end of the phone really seemed to be acting suspicious and was very vague and cagey about why they needed this person's personal information. And luckily, they hung up and contacted their insurance company directly, and were able to verify, no, that call wasn't coming from us, which is exactly what we recommend you do. You get an unsolicited call claiming to be from your insurance agency. Please be mindful of what information you're giving out. Be very protective of your personal information, your financial information. And you know what? If it's an unsolicited call, you weren't expecting it, it doesn't hurt to say, hey, I'm going to call you back, or I want to verify this with the insurance agency. Hang up. Don't give out any information and contact your insurance company directly. They'll be happy to, if they do need more information from you, they'll be happy to walk you through that. They'll also be happy to verify, no, that wasn't from us, because they don't want you scammed by someone posing as their representative any more than you want that to happen.
Yeah, and we talk about how dedicated these horrible people are. And excuse me for saying that, but that's pretty much how they are. I mean, this is their job. So they're going to do everything that they can to convince you, even when they're coming up with things like fake invoices. They'll steal a logo from here. Think about how easy it is to copy and paste, right? So you also had people sending in fake invoices for things like from the Geek Squad, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, again, it plays on emotions, which is what a lot of scammers do. In this case, fear or worry that you're about to be charged a large amount. That's what these invoice scam. That's how they operate. You get an invoice that claims to be from Geek Squad, from Apple, from Best Buy, from whoever, and it's for a large amount, and it says that you're going to be charged this on the credit card they have on file, and you're thinking initially, I didn't make a purchase recently. That's not correct. And of course, it always says somewhere, call if you need to discuss, or call if this isn't correct. And that's how they get you, is they get you to contact them and provide additional information. They'll say, we need sometimes they say, we need access to your device, or can you give us the payment information you would have provided. What they're looking to do is to get information out of you. They've got you on the line because you're concerned that you're about to face this charge, that you for something you didn't purchase, and that's how they get more information out of you. When in reality, the invoice is bogus, so you're never going to be charged for that amount, right? It's not real at all. If you get something like this, certainly check your bank statements, your credit card statements to make sure that you weren't charged for anything. But again, instead of contacting the number or the email or whatever listed on the invoice, call that company directly if you have any concern that it might be legitimate. Call Geek Squad, call Best Buy, call whomever, and they will be more than happy to verify if you actually have an invoice with them or an outstanding payment due. Just the bottom line is you want to contact the company or agency or organization directly instead of calling a number that appears in an email or a text or whatever.
So you always wait for that phone call, right, Whitney? Like someone's won the Mega Millions lottery jackpot, and they are so generous that they're going to share a big chunk of that money with you. It's like the phone call or the friend that you've been dreaming of, right? But hey, we're not really that lucky.
No, I'm sorry to say this has been a common one, and it's going around. You get a text message saying that it's from whomever is one of the latest jackpot winners, because it's very easy. If their name is publicized, anyone can get that name and claim to be them. But yes, the scam follows like this. You get this text. It says, I'm the multimillionaire winner or whatever lottery, and I want to share my winnings with people like you. I want to donate to 50 strangers, and you're one of the lucky ones. So just click on this link to fill out your information, and I'll give you $50,000. That would be a dream. Unfortunately, in reality, it's a nightmare, because if you do click on that link, you're falling for a scam where, again, they're just stealing your personal information. Sometimes it may go so far as, well, give me your bank account information and I can make the deposit directly to you. And again, then they have your bank account information or whatever the case may be. So if you get a text like this, if you get an email or whatever like this, just delete it. Don't respond. I'm sorry to say that the minority out there of mega million winners, they're not contacting random strangers to make donations. And if they are, they're certainly not doing it via text message.
Exactly.
So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I also want to prevent you from being scammed.
Yeah.
No, just disregard that method.
If it sounds too good to be true, it definitely is. All right. So I always like, whenever I scroll on social media or anywhere and I see pictures of dogs or puppies or cats or whatever, I'm like, oh, I need that dog in my life, But you guys get a lot of puppy scams, and we get calls about them too.
We sure do, unfortunately. And I'm with you. I have a dog. I have 2 cats. If we had room, I'd add more, but I love them. But unfortunately, because a lot of people feel the same way, they love animals, they want to add a pet to their family, maybe give one to their kids. Scammers are going to take advantage of our love for animals. And the puppy scams are one of the most common, if not the most common scam we see every month. And the breeds are always different. It's whatever breed is popular right now, but the scam works the same way. And we see it for other animals too. Kittens, because this is Kentucky, we've seen horse scams, we've seen, exotic pet scams, but they all follow the same pattern. You click on what you think is an ad for a legitimate breeder who has tons of cute photos of these puppies or kittens or whatever, and you are interested in purchasing one. All seems to go great. And they tell you, after you've made your initial payment, that your animal will be delivered to your home on this date. As that date approaches, you're then contacted and said, oh, well, you actually need to pay additional money for any number of excuse, delivery insurance, crate. You need to purchase this special crate for the animal, or the day of delivery itself will come and they say, we can't deliver the animal until you pay this additional fee. And they'll keep coming up with more and more reasons you need to pay additional money until you eventually catch on and stop paying them. And then you never get the animal, because the truth is that person, that scammer, they don't have animals. They're not breeding them. They pulled pictures from Google of adorable puppies and claimed that they had them for sale. This is one we see time and time again. We actually saw recently a kind of different spin on this scam involving Facebook groups, where someone started a Facebook group for a specific breed and claimed to be a breeder of that dog. And then when one of the group members try to adopt from the alleged breeder. Again, the scam played out the same way, and when she caught on, she was blocked from the Facebook group. She couldn't get a hold of the breeder anymore. It's another way to implement this scam. So we always strongly advise folks, if you're interested in adopting a pet from a breeder, you have to see that animal in person. You have to have proof that that breeder has that animal. So either see it in person or on a video call at the very least. Check out reviews of that breeder. Check out their profile on bbb.org. Make sure they have good references, and pay by credit card if at all possible. So at least if something doesn't work out, you can dispute that charge.
That's interesting. And I'm glad you mentioned the Facebook group, because I have a specific dog breed and I love to follow all of the pages that are out there about that breed so I can learn more information. So I'm very glad that you mentioned that, something to keep in mind. All right. People are looking for jobs, really good jobs. And when you are falling as a victim in this scam that's going around, I'd be pretty upset.
Yes. It's the job, people are always looking for jobs, particularly work from home if they can get it. And there certainly are legitimate work from home opportunities out there, but you have to be cautious, because this is also the field where we see a lot of scammers, unfortunately. They follow the same sort of pattern where you have a great interview, an almost too easy interview. You're hired almost immediately. And then from there, it can play out a couple different ways. A lot of times they'll say, well, we're going to send you a check to purchase materials that you'll need for your job. The check always turns out to be fraudulent in this case. You'll deposit it, and then they'll say, oh, we sent you too much, or can you wire some of that back? And then you're on the hook for that money. Sometimes they even go so far as say you have to purchase from this specific vendor. And whoever that contact is just in on the scam as well. So again, you're just sending money that from a check that isn't real out there. And then again, once your bank realizes that it's a fraudulent check, you're on the hook for that amount. So anytime you've got a work from home opportunity where you take it and then they say, we're going to send you a check, that's a big red flag. Walk away from this supposed opportunity. We don't know of any legitimate companies or employers who would do that. If you needed materials or supplies, they would just send them to you directly,
Sure,
right? They're not going
absolutely.
to send you a check
To go
then
buy it.
have you purchase them.
Yeah.
That would be too convoluted for a legitimate employer.
And this was interesting too. You've also had reports of, say, a recruiter, of someone pretending to be a recruiter. They ask you to download an app. So what does that happen then?
Yeah. So we see a lot of times fake recruiters will say that in order to conduct an interview, we want you to download this app. And then again, follows kind of the same process. This is a kind of a red flag, and they have different reasons for getting you on this app. It can make it harder for you to trace them. It just gets you into a more private area. It can make it harder, if they're posting on Indeed.com and say Indeed, catches on and removes their posting. Is it a scam? Well, they already have you in another app, so they can still continue conversation with you. Again, it's perfectly normal and common anymore for legitimate employers to say, hey, let's interview on Zoom, or, a platform that a lot of folks use. But if they are really pushing you to download a very specific app, I would be very cautious with that interview. I would see that as a big red flag that they could be a scammer. And ways you can sort of further confirm or deny that is you can research the company first, make sure it's a legitimate company, make sure they don't have reports of scamming folks out there. Again, you can visit bbb.org to do that. And I would even take it a step further these days and verify that recruiter is working for the company they claim to work for, because we've even seen reports, unfortunately, of fake recruiters claiming to hire on behalf of legitimate companies, when in fact that company isn't hiring at all, or they aren't, they may be, but they're not using that recruiter. So it never hurts to contact the company directly to verify, are you hiring right now? Is this a legitimate opening? Does this recruiter work for you or work on your behalf.
And hey, that may earn you bonus points too. Think about it. If you're going the extra mile, that means
So
that
you are,
yeah, you're on top of it.
do your homework. Yeah.
So we always tell people because it is really, really hard, Whitney, to track down these people who took advantage of you. When your money is gone, more than likely it's gone. And that's the thing. If you've lost thousands and thousands of dollars, it's awful, but you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah, this is a reason, Myra, why we really stress anytime you are conducting a transaction or exchanging money, whatever the case may be, please, when at all possible, use a credit card because that is a secure form of payment. You can dispute the charge if you need to, and it doesn't actually come out of your bank account. You can still use your debit card, but again, if that is compromised, that's money that's directly coming out of your account, right? And the process to get it back can take a lot longer versus if you're using a credit card. And this is another way that you can sort of pick up on if you're dealing with a scammer, because a big red flag is if they are really, really pushing you to use a certain payment method that's not a credit card, especially if they're trying to convince you that you need to buy gift cards or like Visa gift cards for any reason to conduct business with them. Red flag. Because again, like you said, with gift cards, with prepaid cards, once that's gone, it's gone. You really can't get that money back.
And you're more than likely never going to be able to hold these people accountable because sometimes they're in other countries, they're across the country. It's really hard to track these people down. So that's why we want to warn you. There's nothing wrong in being like, hold on, let me make a quick phone call. Let me think about this. I fell victim to a bad company before where they, I was moving here to Louisville 17 years ago, and the company was an online company, and I didn't do my homework. It was the cheapest deal I found. They were late. They demanded more money at the end. It was a nightmare. So please don't think that, it's only a certain age group that falls for scams. No, it can happen to anybody because sometimes, we're all working hard to save our money, and we think something sounds good, and it's not necessarily good.
Yes, I always stress to folks when I'm out doing, out in the community, giving talks or talking with media folks like you, I always stress, or I try to always stress, please don't think that this can't happen to you. I don't want that to sound scary, but it's true. When we look at the statistics of who reports scams to us, we see all age groups represented. We see all levels of education represented, folks from all over our coverage area. So I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter how old or young you are, how educated you are, where you grew up, anyone can fall victim to a scam because scammers, unfortunately, are very good at what they do. They're very good at a few different areas, sounding official, knowing what they're talking about, and playing on your emotions, whether that's emotion of excitement, like, oh, you've just won a grand prize, or fear, that you're about to be in legal trouble, that you owe a large amount and you just want to get it taken care of. They're very good and very persuasive, and they really can get to anyone. So that's why we stress the steps that we've suggested as far as, protecting yourself and staying vigilant.
All right. Well, Zoom is telling us, Whitney, that we are running out of time. We could go on and on because there's so many things that we want to protect folks too. But Whitney, one last time, if you run into a bad company, if you run into a scam, what do? You should warn others for sure.
Please report it to Better Business Bureau. You can do that via our scam tracker at bbb.org, or you can give us a call and report it that way. If it's a scam, if it's a case where it's a bad company or bad business practices, you can also visit BBB to leave a review or report it that way. And just know that by doing so, you help get the word out so that others hopefully aren't affected by the same scam, because when we get that information, we're able to share it more widely. So it really is a service you do to the community. If you come across a scam, or a loved one comes across a scam, please let us know, because not only can we help you with suggested next steps, whether it's filing a report with your credit card company, freezing your accounts, whatever the case may be, we can walk you through that, and we can also share the information. We don't put your information out there. It's all anonymous, but we take what you've told us and share it with the community.
All right. Whitney, thank you so much for your help today. I'm Myra Ansari here for Wave Now. Hopefully that you learned something from this interview today to keep yourself safe. Have a wonderful day.